Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. Today on The Bold and the Beautiful, Bill lights into Ridge over his treatment of Katie, and Eric makes a big ask of Ridge. As the episode begins, Brooke asks Ridge if he's given any more thought to Eric's surprise retirement party. Sorry, what? They're surprise retiring him? That won't go well. Right on cue, Eric enters with Donna and reminds his son that his name is on the building. Seconds later, the lot of them hear Bill hollering in Katie's office about how badly mistreated she's been. Once again, he implores her to come to Spencer, aka your true family company. Ridge immediately works himself into a lather. He doesn't like Bill roaming the FC hallways. The dressmaker can't take it. He has to go confront his nemesis. How far away is Katie's office, though? It seems to take Ridge ages to get there, considering he could hear Bill from across the hall. Why is Bill there? Ridge wants to know. To defend the woman I love, Bill says. Can you imagine being defended at a job where your to-do list includes not having to do diddly? Sign me up. After the commercial break, Bill lights into Ridge about him and Brooke bringing in an outside PR firm. You treat Katie with disrespect and a lack of appreciation, Bill huffs. Does Katie feel the same way? Kinda, she says. Ridge admires what Katie does. We all do. We who? Bill asks. Ridge, Brooke, Zend? Poor Zend, one shout out, and it's a diss. In the CEO's office, Brooke explains Ridge's dismissive behavior by saying he's super busy. Eric can help. He just needs to be asked. When Ridge returns, he rants about Bill filling Katie's head with the notion that she's underappreciated. Eric wants a word with his son, right then. Ridge is busy, but never too busy for the founder of the company, he assures Eric, cooling down. Later, the patriarch says that he doesn't like feeling like a guest in his own building. That wasn't the intention, Ridge replies. But every time they start a talk, he gets pulled away by another business call or text. Eventually, Eric offers gentle criticism of Ridge's new designs. What are you getting at? He asks, as if it wasn't obvious. In the showroom, Brooke and Donna look over Ridge's new sketches and agree that he's never happy till they're perfect. That, and taking on most of the CEO duties, is getting to Ridge. Why doesn't he lean on Eric, the man who taught him everything he knows? Donna asks. Poor Zend, we learn, is working on HFTF even though Deke has been chosen as the new, anointed one. Now there's a character who needs defending, Zend. But I digress. Donna goes so far as to suggest that Ridge is less concerned with Eric's legacy than his own. Her spouse wants to be an important part of this company again, Donna says. He wants to be a designer, not a mascot. She explains that he's always sketching at home, and he wants to be part of the couture design team again. What about the pressure? Brooke asks. It's who he is, Brooke. Huh. So maybe the spoiler that the show released about Eric's health was a red herring? Back at Spencer, Bill is still ranting and raving about how Katie is always cleaning up the Forresters' messes. Is this about you? Or is it about me? She asks. It's about her, Bill insists, then apologizes for letting the volcano explode. What does Katie want? As the episode draws to a close, he backs off for fear of pressuring her. Katie appreciates Bill standing up for her. Whatever you do, he promises, I'll do anything I can to help you. She doesn't need him to fight her fights like a superhero, she points out. He'll always be there nonetheless, cape and all. Unusually witty episode, no, between this and Bill laughing about Ridge having confidential business to attend to. What? Hemming a dress? In Forrester's main office, Eric compliments Ridge on the job he's doing as CEO, mostly single-handedly. He's doing too much, though, Dad says. You're drowning in it. Eric hopes the most important thing he taught Ridge was the value of collaboration. So let me back in, he asks his son, not as some figurehead, as a co-designer. You and me together. Let's make history again. The morning sun poured through the grand windows of Forrester Creations, casting golden streaks across the sleek marble floors. Tension clung to the air, a silent charge building inside the CEO's office. Ridge Forrester stood at the center of it all, staring at his latest sketches with eyes that betrayed his fatigue. Brooke Logan, ever supportive, hovered near him like a concerned guardian, her gaze flicking between her husband's clenched jaw and the papers in his hands. "Have you thought more about Eric's surprise retirement party?" she asked, her voice soft but weighted with implication. Ridge didn't answer right away. The idea of surprise retiring his father felt wrong on every level. How do you surprise a man like Eric Forrester, co-founder, designer, legacy builder, by forcing him into the shadows? The silence stretched between them until it was interrupted by the man in question. Eric entered the office with Donna by his side, regal yet slightly distant. "My name is still on the building," he reminded Ridge, a quiet challenge embedded in the words. He wasn't angry. Not yet. But something had shifted. Eric wasn't going to let himself fade into the background. Before Ridge could respond, a shout erupted from down the hallway. The unmistakable voice of Bill Spencer boomed through the walls, his anger echoing from Katie Logan's office. Brooke flinched. Ridge's expression darkened. "What the hell is he doing here?" Ridge growled, already moving toward the door. The sound of Bill's ranting had ignited something primal in him. The rivalry between them had always burned hot, but when it came to Katie, especially now, it blazed uncontrollably. It took Ridge longer than expected to get to Katie's office, which was odd considering how clearly he could hear Bill from the other side of the hall. The second he stepped in, the atmosphere grew even heavier. Bill stood tall, arms crossed, his eyes glinting with defiance. "To defend the woman I love," he answered Ridge before the question was even finished. Katie, seated behind her desk, looked caught between annoyance and embarrassment. She didn't want to be a pawn in another Bill versus Ridge battle. Not again. Ridge glared. "You don't belong here, Bill. You don't work here. You don't run this place. So, why are you acting like you own it?" "I'm here because she's being disrespected," Bill snapped. "You and Brooke hired an outside PR firm without even talking to Katie. She's cleaned up more messes for this company than you ever have. And what does she get? Nothing. Not even a conversation." Katie opened her mouth to interject, but Ridge and Bill steamrolled forward, their feud consuming the space. In the background, Katie sighed. "Maybe I do feel overlooked," she admitted softly, surprising both men. Ridge turned to her, stunned. "Katie, you're amazing at what you do. We all admire your work." Bill sneered. "We? Who's we?" "Ridge? Brooke? Zend," he scoffed. "Zend gets one shout-out in 5 years, and this is it." Ridge was about to fire back when his phone buzzed with yet another business call. He glanced at it, torn. That was his life now, always pulled in 10 directions. CEO, designer, father, husband, and now possibly the man nudging his own father toward retirement. He turned and left without another word. Back in the main office, Brooke tried to justify Ridge's distracted behavior to Eric. "He's just overwhelmed. The pressure's enormous," she said. Eric wasn't having it. "You think I don't know pressure? I built this company under pressure. I created a dynasty while raising a family. What Ridge needs is help, my help. But he won't ask." By the time Ridge returned, simmering from the argument with Bill and another demanding call, Eric decided he couldn't wait any longer. "We need to talk," Eric said firmly. "Now." "I'm not just anyone, Ridge. I'm your father. I'm the co-founder of this company. And I need to say this before it eats away at me any further." Ridge sat down reluctantly. "You're drowning," Eric said bluntly. "You're trying to run this company alone, and it's killing your creativity. These sketches," he held up Ridge's designs, "they lack your usual magic." Ridge stiffened. "What are you getting at?" "You need me," Eric said simply. "Not as a mascot. Not as a symbol. As a co-designer. Let me back in. You and me, together. Let's make history again." Downstairs in the showroom, Donna and Brooke examined Ridge's latest sketches. They were elegant, yes, but something was missing. A spark. Donna tilted her head. "He's not satisfied, and it's showing. He's stretched too thin." Brooke sighed. "Maybe. But can he really take on more? Can Eric?" Donna's voice lowered. "Eric never stopped sketching. Every night, every weekend. This is who he is, Brooke. He doesn't want to be a face on a board. He wants to create again." Back at Spencer Publications, Bill continued his tirade. You shouldn't have to fight to be seen, Katie. Not here, not anywhere. She raised an eyebrow. Is this about you? Or is this about me? Bill hesitated, his facade cracking. It's about you.
I'm sorry.
I hate seeing you overlooked. You deserve better. I don't need a white knight, Katie said, though her tone softened. But thank you for standing up for me. Bill nodded. Always. Cape and all. As Katie smiled faintly, the emotional waters between them stirred again, familiar, deep, and far from resolved. Meanwhile, in the quiet of the main office, Ridge rubbed his temples. Eric stood before him not as a critic, but as a mentor, a father, a partner. I hope the most important thing I ever taught you, Eric said gently, was the value of collaboration. Ridge looked up, his eyes heavy. Eric extended his hand. Let's design together again. Ridge stared at it, the weight of the company, of his legacy, pressing down on his shoulders. Ridge sat motionless, staring at the hand extended toward him. Eric's face, etched with the weight of age but burning with passion, carried none of the ego Ridge had feared. This wasn't about reclaiming glory. It was about returning to roots, to partnership, to a father and son who once created magic together. After a long beat, Ridge finally reached forward and clasped Eric's hand. A truce. A beginning. Let's make history, he said, his voice low but certain. Eric's eyes lit up. There it was, validation, purpose, legacy reaffirmed. But just as quickly, his expression clouded. Before we dive into sketches, Eric added, we need to talk about something else. Something I haven't shared. Ridge's heart skipped. What is it? I've been having some tremors. Minor. Maybe stress-related. Maybe not. Eric glanced away, embarrassed to admit the truth. I didn't want to scare anyone. But I have an appointment scheduled. I just wanted you to know. Ridge stood. Dad. No panic, Eric cut in. I'm still me. But if we're going to do this together, it has to be honest. I want to contribute, but you need to know everything. Ridge nodded slowly. Then we face it together. Meanwhile, in Katie's office, the quiet after Bill's exit felt heavier than the argument itself. Katie looked around, her eyes tracing the framed family photos, the press clippings, the branding awards that adorned her walls. This place had been her battleground and her sanctuary.
But now?
It felt like a battlefield with no army behind her. Later that afternoon, Brooke and Donna joined Katie for coffee in the Forrester lounge, tension still simmering from the morning drama. Bill was out of line, Brooke said gently, but Donna raised an eyebrow. Was he, though? I mean, he was loud and dramatic, sure, but didn't he say what most of us have been thinking? Katie doesn't get the credit she deserves. Katie looked down at her mug. I don't need credit. I just want respect. And someone who doesn't storm in like a vigilante to speak for you, Brooke added with a sigh. Donna reached out, touching Katie's hand. You're not alone in this. But maybe it's time you stop cleaning up after everyone else. Maybe it's time you start asking for what you want. Katie looked up slowly. And what if I don't know what that is anymore? The question lingered in the air. Back in the design studio, Eric and Ridge stood side by side for the first time in what felt like years. Sketches were spread across the table, some new, some old, some iconic. Eric lifted one of Ridge's recent pieces and studied it in silence. There's brilliance here, he said, but it's buried under exhaustion. I don't know how to slow down, Ridge admitted. This company, it moves at a speed I can barely keep up with. Then let me help carry the load, Eric replied. You don't have to prove anything to me. They shared a quiet moment, not designer to designer, but father to son. For the first time in weeks, Ridge felt something crack open in his chest. Relief. Support.
Trust.
Elsewhere in the building, Zen stood in front of the showroom mirror, adjusting one of the new HFTF garments he'd helped tweak. He overheard whispers between staffers about Deacon being dubbed the Anointed One for HFTF's future. Zen clenched his jaw. Overlooked again. He exited the showroom and found himself colliding, literally, with Donna. Oh, she exclaimed, steadying herself. Zen, you okay? Zen nodded, barely able to hide the disappointment clouding his expression. "You've been quiet lately," Donna said, concerned. "Maybe because everyone's too loud about everyone else," he muttered. Donna placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're part of this family, too. Don't ever forget that. It's your time soon." He offered a half-smile and walked away, but her words lingered longer than she knew. Later that evening, the Forrester family gathered in the conference room for what was supposed to be a short strategy meeting. Ridge, freshly energized from the collaboration with Eric, had a different agenda. "I want to make an announcement," he began. "Effective immediately, my father will be returning to the couture line as co-lead designer." Gasps filled the room. Brooke beamed. Donna blinked back tears. Katie sat upright, visibly surprised. Zend watched with quiet curiosity. "This isn't just about fashion," Ridge continued. "This is about legacy. About doing what we love, with the people we love." Eric stepped forward. "And I couldn't be prouder of my son." It was the kind of moment that reminded everyone why Forrester Creations wasn't just a business. It was a family dynasty. And that dynasty had just taken its next step forward. Back at Spencer Publications, Bill stood at the window of his high-rise office, looking down at the glittering city below. Justin entered quietly. "You okay, boss?" Bill didn't answer right away. His mind was miles away. "I told Katie I'd always be there," he said finally. "But what if that's not enough anymore?" Justin smirked. "When has enough ever been enough for you?" Bill chuckled dryly. "Touché." At Forrester, the night wound down. Ridge stood alone in the CEO's office, staring at a framed photo of himself and Eric from decades ago. He smiled, then reached for a sketch pad and began drawing, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. For the first time in months, he was designing with joy. Behind him, the door creaked open. It was Eric. "Thought you went home," Ridge said. "Just forgot my sketch pad," Eric grinned. The two men shared a look and a laugh. Something had changed, not just between them, but across the whole company. New tensions, yes, but new beginnings, too. As they both sat, pencil to paper, father and son once again became partners in creation. And outside that room, in the City of Angels, Katie stared out her window, wondering what came next. Donna whispered encouragement to Zend. Brooke watched her family rebuild from the inside out. And Bill Spencer, cape or not, prepared to fight again. Not for control, but for the heart of the woman he couldn't let go. The next morning arrived with a sense of renewed energy at Forrester Creations. The halls buzzed with whispers about Eric's return to the couture line. Some employees were thrilled. Others worried it signaled deeper shifts. And a few, namely Steffy and Thomas, wondered why they hadn't been consulted first. Steffy stormed into Ridge's office just as he was reviewing fabric samples with Eric. "So this is really happening?" she asked, arms crossed, frustration flickering in her eyes. Eric looked up, calm and collected. "Good morning, sweetheart." Ridge gestured to a chair. "Take a seat. Let's talk." "I'd rather stand," she replied, tense. "You bring back Grandpa without so much as a heads up? I'm not saying it's a bad move, but I thought we were working as a team now." Eric held her gaze. "Do you not want me back?" "That's not it. It's just we've all been adjusting to this new structure. HFTF is finally recovering." Zen's stepping up. And suddenly, the focus shifts again. "Sometimes evolution looks like chaos," Ridge said gently. "But this company was built on passion. And no one embodies that more than Dad." Steffi sighed, her shoulders softening. "I just don't want things to unravel again. Especially not now." "Then help us keep it together," Eric said with a wink. Elsewhere, at Il Giardino, Deacon sat with Finn, having called the meeting to discuss something weighing on his "I feel like I'm being set up to fail," Deacon admitted. "Hope for the future, it's not me. I'm not a designer. I'm not Thomas." Finn sipped his espresso. "So tell Hope the truth. She's too busy pretending everything's fine. And Brooke, don't even get me started. She treats me like I'm the villain in a cartoon." "Maybe you were once," Finn quipped. Deacon grinned.
Fair.
"But not anymore." Across town, Katie visited Donna at home, her expression unreadable as she stood in the living room clutching a sleek black envelope. "What is it?" Donna asked. Katie exhaled. "A job offer. From Spencer Publications. Bill sent it. It's generous. Executive level. Total creative control." Donna's eyes widened. "Are you going to take it?" Katie stared down at the letter. "I don't know. I love working at Forrester. But being stuck between Ridge and Brooke's agenda, and now Eric coming back, it's like I'm invisible again. Maybe Bill's right. Maybe I belong with a company that actually sees me." "And him." Katie didn't answer. Meanwhile, at Spencer, Bill paced in his office when Wyatt arrived unannounced. "I saw the offer you sent to Mom," he said, crossing his arms. Bill raised a brow. "You mean Katie?" "Same difference," Wyatt replied. "Do you really want her back here, or are you just trying to win her over again?" "I want both," Bill said honestly. "I want her heart and her brilliance. And I'll keep fighting for both." Wyatt gave him a long look. "Then don't fight like the old Bill. Fight smarter. Respect her decisions. Or you'll lose her again." Back at Forrester, Ridge and Eric called an impromptu meeting in the main conference room. Brooke, Donna, Steffy, Zend, and even Hope joined. "I've asked Dad to rejoin as co-designer of the couture line," Ridge announced. "This doesn't change your roles, but it does change our direction." Zend straightened. "What about HFTF?" "We're not sidelining it," Ridge said. "In fact, I'm assigning Zend as point designer, with creative oversight from Hope." Hope looked startled but smiled. "That's unexpected." "You've earned it," Ridge said, nodding to Zend. "And it's time we start grooming the next generation of leadership." Later, in private, Brooke confronted Ridge about the shift. "You're handing Hope more power, giving Zend a bigger platform, bringing Eric back. Where does that leave me?" Ridge looked at her with regret. "You're not being pushed aside, Logan. You're the heart of this place. But I'm trying to make room for others to lead. That includes you stepping back from decisions that don't need you." Brooke didn't reply. Instead, she left the room in silence, wounded. That night, Katie stood on her terrace, staring at the skyline. The Spencer offer in one hand, her Forrester ID badge in the other. Bill's voice rang in her memory. "I'll do anything to support you. Ridges. We all admire what you do." Neither felt quite right. As the wind picked up, Katie let the ID badge fall to the ground. But she didn't rip up the offer either. Across town, Ridge sat alone, staring at his newest sketch. But this one wasn't couture. It was a family tree with gaps. And beside him, Eric quietly picked up a pencil and filled in the blanks. Together,